There's something about a bike ride through a place you don't know. It feels like time slows down, and suddenly every little moment sticks with you. The feeling, the wind, the warmth, and then everything else just fades away. You feel alive. For me, filmmaking is about capturing that same feeling. You don't do it just by making pretty images. You do it through story, sound, music, and color. When I first learned color grading, I thought the goal was simple: make the shot look pretty. But real colorist taught me something that changed my perspective. Beauty is just a side effect. The main goal is to make the viewer feel something. And one feeling works better than anything else: nostalgia. Nostalgia doesn't record reality, it shapes it. That's why, for decades, Kodak and Fuji spent years refining their film stocks on the tiniest details. They tested their stocks not on graphs or charts, they tested the shots on real people. They showed two shots side by side and asked what people liked most. And they made tiny differences in the amount of grain, the contrast curve, the warmth of the skin tones. All not to be as accurate as possible, but to look as good as possible. They learned that we don't love images because they're accurate. We love them because they match our emotional memory. So, what did they find? Warm skin tones make us feel closer to the subject. It causes an instant intimacy. A soft contrast curve with gentle highlight roll-off makes every moment feel more graceful. Grain adds texture, something our brains read as real. Film grain feels organic, but digital noise, it's random, messy, and often ugly. That's why manufacturers try to erase it. But in that process, they lost the natural part of the image. Then there's elation. On film, light scatters, giving highlights a subtle red glow. But digital sensors have microlenses to channel light perfectly. That's great for efficiency, but it killed that subconscious glow. Over time, these subtle choices became the language of nostalgia. So when you see film today, you're not just seeing light on celluloid, you're seeing how our minds learn to remember beauty. They discovered the levers that made an image feel alive. It faded with digital though, because with digital, the entire capture process changed. With film, the emotion was baked right into the film stock, because it couldn't be altered after. With digital, the philosophy changed. The philosophy was to capture as much as neutral and as accurate data as possible. The philosophy was to put the emotion back in post, because then you have more control, more choices later on. But if you don't put that emotion and those subtle imperfections back in post, then your image can just feel empty. But that's where tools like Dehancer come in. Dehancer is a program designed to put all those little imperfections back into the image to make it feel alive again. I'll show you how I do it. But first, we gotta go back to my home country, the Netherlands. Let's go!
Hello, I got places to be. I got places to be. Hello, I got places to be.
Alright, I'm finally back home. So, let's go ahead and show you how it's done. I'll place you right here. And then my room is a mess, so I'll go clean it real quick. Alright, the room's clean, now we can start. I'll show you how I use the Dehancer practically to give back those emotional qualities that film had back into digital footage. So, if we'll look in here in the color page, I'll assume you already have a basic understanding of color, so I won't go into color correction or basic workflows. I already did that right here. I'm using Dehancer for a look and just to bring back those individual qualities that we talked about earlier. So one of those was the cinematic contrast curve and the highlight roll-off, and this is my image. And I think this is just a bit flat, so if you add a film print, you Codec 2383 is normally what I use. I like it a bit better than the Fuji ones. You just turn it on, you get a lot nicer contrast curve. So it's very easy, just creates a bit of color separation and most of that contrast curve. The other thing is the highlight roll-off. That's still a bit too harsh, I think, with only the print. So I normally turn on film compression, and what you see is that just compresses the image a bit, and mostly the bright part. So now the sky is just gone down a lot, and it just looks nicer. The focus is more on me and less on the sky in the background. I do this with Shift F. It's nice if you edit with plugins, because then you can just view the image bigger and you don't have the excess nodes. So this is pretty minimally. I normally keep the film print at 38.5 on the output and the bottom, because normally that's enough. Another clip here, this is really flat. This is an example where I would also use the print but turn it up to 100. If you just turn on the film print, then it just pops a lot more. This is night and day difference. You see it yourself, the contrast is way nicer, it really pops out of the screen because the skin tone is warmed up a bit, and the shadows are more blue instead of the cyan they were before. Another quality of digital film was the halation. I always do this in DaVinci white gamut because it works better, and then the halation and the grain I'll do after my DaVinci white gamut to Rec 709 color space transform. If you don't know what that means, go look at a video from Dehancer and Colin Kelly. They're great, and they explain it way better than I could. But it's better to use this in Rec 709 and do this at the end of your workflow, just because you don't want the halation that is formed to alter the color or anything, because it's formed to be physically accurate by the Dehancer, so you want to keep it untouched. So if I turn the halation on and the bloom, the nodes, you see it immediately, it's happening, but I'll walk you through it. I always gave bloom and halation on output 100. It's very easy, halation in Dehancer. You just choose a profile, and 8mm is more extreme because it's a smaller film stock originally, so it gives bigger halation. I normally use 35 or 65. And no ramjet is also way too extreme in most of the cases. But I normally use the 35, and then we zoom into my arm. It just adds a nice glow around my arm. I think this would be a bit too extreme for jobs, but here this is always, in leaves it looks always very good. A bit pre-expected glow, so this is off and on. Now another thing to bring back that glow that digital lost is bloom. A lot of people use black promise filters for this. I think Dehancer works right. It just saves you a very expensive filter. So if I turn this on, you just see the entire image starts to glow a bit. So here in my shirt you see it a lot. And just the bright parts seep into the darker parts a bit. And you also have a lot of profiles. So those are bloom and halation. Again, really simple to use with Dehancer. You just select the film stock and turn it on. That's all. And then the last part is grain. And grain is really always the last part of your pipeline. It's really the last thing you do because you don't want it to be altered. And that's same thing. Just with grain, there's one more value you can choose from. So you have the film profiles again. So I normally go with 35 or 65 again. Those are a bit more minimal, not too extreme. For this I'll choose 35 to 50. And then you have ISO, and the higher the ISO, the more grain there is in the image. Basically it's how sensitive the film was. So if I enable this, you see a beautiful film grain just gets applied all of the image, and it takes off that natural of the digital age and just makes it more natural. One thing I do with grain most of the time is I turn to custom. Now it copies the settings from this that you chose, and I turn on the chroma. So what this does, if you zoom into here, chroma just also has some color, and that's fine. It's digital noise is often only color, so that's way harsher. But I just like to turn this down a bit to have less color noise. And then this is the final clip. So that looks great. First, I'm gonna show you my other use case for Dehancer. Sometimes I have iPhone footage or other footage that just looks, wow, digital and ugly. And this footage does not have a lot of information in it. So I can create it nicely, or you can a bit, but not really. But sometimes it's really nice to use. Often like a complete film emulation. I have some emulation power bins, and then I have some adjustment clips with just a Dehancer node on it. I'll choose the Super 8 now, just drag this on. And then you have a complete film emulation. And this looks really nice for iPhone footage or other footage, or just for a complete emulation. But I could just extend it, and then all my iPhone clips are nicely created. Super fast, super easy. I'll show you how you can make one. It's really easy. I just go to effects, type an adjustment clip, drag an adjustment clip on my timeline over the footage, and then basically I drag on, make sure the adjustment clip is selected in the color and not another clip, drag on Dehancer, and then just turn everything on. Keep this at drag 7 and 9. Turn the film profile on, film divider where you can leave off, film compression, turn it on, expand, turn it off, print, choose a nice print. I'll go with the codec print, color head I'm gonna leave off for now. Film grain, we're emulating, let's say 8mm film, so I'll turn the setting to 8mm, same for this. And for the blue, film damage gives little speckles and dust in the film, so you can turn that all on. Film breadth gives variations in the light. That's what real film also has. Gateways makes the film move up and down, so that's why you see it crop in a bit. And then the overscan, this is the part most people try to emulate in a lot of ways, or make in a lot of ways, but it just is super easy and it works super well. So you can just turn it up again, choose a gate type and turn it on. And I like to up the exposure, because then this bright part gets brighter. That's what the exposure does. And now you have a beautiful emulated film stock, and now I can just extend this, and now every clip, it's still too blue, I would correct this on a clip basis. But now every clip has that film look, so that's other way I use it, super easy again. And those are the main two use cases I have for Dehancer. What I like about it is that it's super easy to use. You just slap it on, select what stock you want, and it's done. You don't have to alter anything. And that's very nice for a fast workflow. Yeah, it just works, and it helps you emulate those emotional things that film had, that faded with digital. So yeah, now you can add them back in post very easily. So that's it. Now let's look at this beautiful clip that we just created. In the color page, Shift F and play. Dehancer is powerful, but it's not a magic button. Your storytelling, your vision, and your grading skills are what gives you recognition. If your budget is tight, you can get close with DaVinci's built-in tools. It's hard to perfectly nail the look, but the principles are the same. Understand the emotion you want and build it into every scene. In the end, filmmaking isn't about pixels or perfection, it's about feelings. The tools just help us get there. And sometimes all it takes is bringing back a little glow, a little texture, a little warmth to make a moment feel alive.
South of the river, mouth of the Vinny, sitting cans full of liquor. Street light flickers, feeling in my blood. Any which way I turn, and our lights burn dimmer, 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 and any which way I turn, and our lights burn dimmer. Hot cooking, south of the river, mouth of the Vinny, sitting cans full of liquor. Street light flickers, feeling in my blood. Any which way I turn, and our lights burn dimmer. Hot cooking, south of the river, mouth of the Vinny, sitting cans full of liquor. Street light flickers, feeling in my blood. Any which way I turn, our lights burn dimmer.
I'm finally done with editing. This was a really hard project for me because I'm never in front of the camera, always behind it. So it felt really unnatural. So I truly want to thank you for watching it completely. I find it really fun. I also have a promo code from Dehancer if you would like to buy the program. I believe it's 10% off. And I also get some money. You don't have to use my code, but please do use a promo code because you just save money. That's it. Dankjewel. Later.